So here is a simple requested tutorial on how to cut an halter neck dress.
To cut this dress, I'll be using this pattern paper as the full length of the dress. So I marked out the shoulder to bust, under bust, waistline, then mark 7 inches to get your hip point. Next step is to mark your shoulder divided by 2, and I will come down by 1 inch there. I'll mark a basic neckline of 3 inches by 3 inches. So I'll use this to cut out the neckline of the dress. Now I'll place my ruler and I'll connect to my shoulder slope. Next is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6. Now I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler and I will draw a straight line. The next step is to mark back my shoulder divided by 2 on the chest line, and I'm going to place my ruler and connect. At the chest line, I'm going to place my tape and I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll divide what I have at the chest line into 2 and I'll mark. Come out by ½ inch and I'll place my tape connecting from the midpoint to the upper part and all the way to the bust circumference divided by 4. Now for this pattern, you'll be cutting it in a dartless form. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance. Now at the waistline, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance, right? Now at the hip point, I'll mark the hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. So after marking that, I'll go ahead to get my waist to knee point. Place my tape and mark my waist to knee point, right? So from that point, you're going to come up by 2 inches. Let's say your waist to knee point is 18 inches. You come up by 2 inches, making it 16, and you mark a straight line. So now I'm not actually using my waist to knee point here because the pattern paper is shorter, so I just marked a point, right? Now I'll go ahead to connect my pattern starting from the bust to the under bust to the waistline to the hip point. So after connecting to the hip point of my pattern, what I'll do is to go ahead to minus 1 inch or 1.5 inches from there. So let's minus 1 inch because the lower part of this dress is a bit free, right? So whatever you have here, you take it all the way to the lower part of your dress and you're going to connect. So remember, when you're making this dress at the hip part, because the dress is made with a stretchy fabric, you just sew straight to avoid your dress from having air. So after this, I'll go ahead to cut this out. After cutting out, I'll be using this pattern to illustrate for when you're cutting for the front and also for the back pattern of this dress. Now place your tape at the neckline and determine where you want the halter neck to start. So I'm using like 3 inches and I'm going to go ahead to connect this to the armhole. So after marking, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline. Now when cutting this pattern, I'll be using this pattern to cut for both the front and the back. Take the measurement you have round your neckline, right? Now after measuring, I have 5 inches. So just like I said, if you're drafting this pattern, let's say you're drafting on a pattern paper, you're going to use this pattern to cut for both the front and the back. Or if you're cutting on your main fabric, after cutting the front, you use it to cut the back. For the back pattern, I will be going up by 1 inch for the neckline depth. For the neckline of the back is 3 by 1. For the neckline of the front is 3 by 3. So after that, take the round measurement of that of the front. So for this particular pattern, you can decide to cut it with a zipper, or if you're making with a very stretchy fabric that can easily stretch, you can go ahead to cut it without a zipper. So now let's say that you want to draft out your pattern, right? Just like I said, we are cutting both the front and the back. So this is more like after drafting your front pattern, you place it on another fabric to trace out the back pattern of the dress. So I'm just adding this to show that this is a zipper, right? This is like another fabric you place and cut out and add like 2 inches for your zipper allowance. Now let's go ahead to work on the back pattern first. Now for this neckline, I'll be extending it to the zipper part. Now take the round measurement you have there, right? And if you're using a zipper, come in by 1/2 inch at the waistline of your pattern, and you'll be extending this up. So I'm cutting it this way, both with zipper and without zipper, because I didn't get to see the back of the dress. So I don't know the choice of fabric you're using. If you're making use of a very stretchy fabric that can easily stretch, you can make the dress without a zipper, right? And then go ahead to cut out. So this will be your back pattern with a zipper. Now all you have to do is to attach to the neckline to complete the outer neckline at the upper part, right? You place and trace this out. But if you're not making this with a zipper, probably you're making it with a very stretchy fabric, you can go ahead to cut it out this way and remove the zipper, and then go ahead to trace out your pattern, right? So just like I said, if you're making with a very stretchy fabric, if not, please go ahead to add a zipper to the dress. Now for the front, cut out the front neckline and then place and trace out, right? So remember, we measured the front neckline and now we measured the back. The total length we got for the front is 5 inches, while for the back is 10 inches, making it a total of 10.5. Remember, you're cutting this on fold, so I will mark that 10.5 inches here, and I'll draw out a line at this point so that that part will not be making use of it. The other side is more like an excess. So that 10.5 inches, place your tape and fold it into 2 equal parts and go ahead to mark. At the end, come up by 1/2 inch. This is more like cutting your collar on a bias form. You don't have to like cut it on a straight line, right, and reconnect it. So now what you do is to take the height of the neckline, which you'll be replacing, to that of the outer neck, right? Now if you're using 1.5 1 inch, mark that, then place your marker and go ahead to reconnect it. So after that, trace this out. After tracing this out, you're going to go ahead to attach it back from the front to the back of the pattern, and also to the neckline of the back dress.